Hello everyone, this is Sukruti Joshi from LG Institute of Engineering and Technology, Ahmedabad. I'm going to take the video lecture series on chemistry. The subject code for chemistry is 311001. In our previous sessions of this particular subject, we have seen our chapter number 1, which is general chemistry. From this particular session, we are going to start our next chapter, and that is chapter number 2. Our chapter number 2 is water technology. Water technology, as we all know that, has several parts. That means we are going to study different topics regarding water resources, regarding water management, and regarding certain water technologies here. So let's take a look at which are the topics that we are going to start in this particular chapter. Here we all know that the pure water is composed of two parts. First one is hydrogen. That means it contains two parts of hydrogen and one part of oxygen. In this manner, the molecular formula of water becomes H2O. Here, it dissolves almost many of the substances, or I should say it dissolves many substances. So we can say that water is a universal solvent. In this manner, as we all know that it's most wonderful and most abundant species, chemical species present on the earth. Here abundant means in a very high amount. We all know that earth contains water in a very high amount. Water is considered as the greatest component. That means it can mainly dissolve, or it can mainly participate or collaborate with many substances. Here, water can be widely used in various industries. For an example, pharma industry. For an example, pharmaceutical, petrochemical, dyeing industry, likewise food industry, polymer industry, and we all know that we have used it for various purposes like washing, drinking, bathing, cleaning, etc. So, it's impossible for all of us that we can live without water, or even it's very difficult for all of us to live with less water. Here in this particular chapter, we will take a look at which are the sources of water, which are the impurities of water, which problems actually can be created when water gets polluted or when the properties of water gets changed. All these things we will learn in this particular chapter. So let's begin with our chapter number 2, that is sources of water. The first topic that we will have here is sources of water. Sources of water means the main particular place or the place from where we can obtain the water, right? It can be divided into two parts. First one is a surface water and second one is a underground water. Okay, we can divide it depending upon their possibility or availability on Earth's surface and below Earth's surface. So here what we have to take into look, that is, if we found it above the Earth's surface, then it is referred as surface water, and if we found such kind of water below the Earth's surface, then it is referred as underground water. Okay, now let's take a look at what are the examples of surface water and what are the examples of underground water. Let's begin with the first one, which is surface waters. Here, as I have explained you on earlier one, that surface water means the water source which is found above the earth's surface is referred as surface water, right? So, we can include rainwater, we can include river water, we can include lake water and sea water. These all are the sources of surface water. That means they are drinkable sources. Most of them are the sources of drinking water. Let's say for an example, rainwater. So rainwater is considered as purest form of water. Although due to pollution, acid rain can be caused. But in general manner, such kind of water is the purest form of water. Then next is river water. It is mainly consists of dissolved minerals such as chlorides, sulfates, fluorides, etc. Because we all know that rivers came from mountains. When they came from mountain, they passes through various plains to came to any end or to came to other place. And at that time when it moves from the top to bottom, what happens? It accumulates the minerals, the solids, etc. along with it. Right? So it's a very good source of water for the people living in the cities and even in the rural areas also. Now, let's move on to the next one, which is lake water. What is the meaning of lake water? So, such kind of water is an accumulation water type of rainwater. People tend to make the rivers, the lakes, or generally the lake and ponds in order to store them so that they can use it in the summer. When monsoon is not there, we don't have any other sources. So lake water is the source of drinking water there. Although it contains certain kind of biological impurities, but in general condition, it is usable water. Now, last but not the least, sea water. Sea water is considered as the surface water, but it is the most impure form of water. We all know that it contains a higher amount of sodium chloride, and that saline solution can't be directly digested by human beings and even by animals. Okay? Now, let's move on to the next topic, which is underground water. So, what do you understand by underground water sources? Here, generally, the water which was found below the surface of the earth is considered as underground water. Okay? Say for an example, borewell water. They contain a very high amount of minerals. We all know that when we don't have rain, when we don't have water in our river, generally in summer in city areas, mainly in metro cities, at that time they have to depend upon the borewell water. And such kind of borewell water is mainly the source of drinkable water there. But it contains a very high amount of Ca, Mg, etc. Right? So we need to pure it and then we need to drink it. Otherwise it creates lot more problems in our body. Next is spring water and well water, a well-established sources of drinkable water. So here we can take a very high, or we can use it. It has a very high concentration of dissolved solids. We all know that again here that spring and well water contains dissolved solids, right? because they pass through different kinds of stones and rocks, and because of it they have to be used by passing it through certain treatment. Now let's move ahead. Our next point is impurities of water. A very important point for all of us. Because after knowing what are the sources of water, we have to understand that which are the impurities which actually impures the water. We have here three different types of impurities. Number one, physical. Number two, chemical. And number three, biological impurities. These three actually depended upon their properties, because in general condition we have to understand that impurity means change in the characteristics, change in the properties of the pure water. When their characteristics changes, for an example physical impurities, right, that means it can change its physical properties. Chemical impurities, it changes its chemical properties, and even by adulteration or contamination through such kind of chemicals. Likewise, we have biological impurities. So certain bacteria, viruses are there, and they create such kind of impurities. In detail, we will see this in our next session. Thank you so much, everyone.